So, Joel, as some of us have seen, RFK, did he announce it yet?
He hasn't,
He hasn't announced it, but RFK has hinted that he's going to be running as an independent, which I think would be dope. So what kind of impact do you think Joel is going to have on both sides, and what's your opinion on the whole situation?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, because as history shows, when a legit third party is running, it's not good news for the incumbent president.
Incumbent? Oh, wow, that's
right?
crazy.
It's not good. I have it here in '92.
Perot.
Yeah, Perot undercut Bush, and then in 1912, Teddy Roosevelt hurt Taft and made a pathway for Wilson to get in office. So this has implications. A lot of people on the left say, oh, well, it's good because it's going to take votes away from Trump.
Yeah.
But a lot of people on the right are like, well, you know, there's going to be a pretty big impact on Biden's numbers as well, and how they vote, because, I mean, RFK Jr. is an environmental lawyer. Right, so like that's, you know, and with the climate change and the environment stuff, that's something that a lot of people on the left really cling to and are really supportive of. He's also, you know, will pull votes from the right with his anti-pharma, big pharma stance on things, and then he'll also get the anti-Trump people and people that don't want to vote for Biden to kind of come into the middle where he's at. And so it's just going to be very interesting to play out. I just want to kind of open it up and see what you guys think about it, because it could be extremely impactful for the 2024 election.
What are the odds, and I'm going to ask, excuse me, Brandon, what are the odds, Joel, of this actually happening? Because I heard this a week ago on the PBD podcast. What are the chances? Like, is he going to do it?
I mean, October 9th, he says he's got a special announcement coming out. So I'm pretty sure we're going to find out then. But I mean, I would say over a 50% chance. I'm saying like 60, because he knows, 70% chance.
Listen, he knows the left. Just how they did Bernie dirty, they're not going to give him a chance. No. That's the guy that I would love. Dude, I'm so mad that the left, the incumbent, they don't debate. At least have something. I can care less about Newsom sitting with DeSantis. I don't want to see any of you people. I want to see that guy speak, because he's been around the block, bro. And if anybody I want to hear, and anybody that I would vote for, is somebody that's, we want to talk about having blood in the skin in the game. That guy has lost a uncle and a father that was murdered, and we found out that our government was somehow involved. Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah, no, so this is exciting. It's an absolute chaos grenade, and, you know, I usually have a pretty good feel for how these things will impact it, but he really can pull from both sides, because, you know, people will peg him as a, you know, climate activist, but also he talks a lot of crap about the establishment, you know, so I think he could probably get like 10 to 15% of the vote overall, but it's really hard to say like which side that'll pull from. And
you can't get Brendan. Would you be able to guess if he's going? Sorry to cut you off, Joe.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Do you think, because from what I heard, he's more popular with the Republicans than the Democrats, because they're told to hate him?
Yeah, but a lot of them were, like, I talked to a lot of Democrats who were willing to vote for DeSantis over Trump, or excuse me, DeSantis over Biden before DeSantis went all crazy with the abortion stuff, because people just, they hate Trump that much that they, you know, they don't want to vote for Biden, but they can't make themselves vote for Trump. But any alternative, including DeSantis, going super far right, they were willing to go for. So I think there's a ton of Democrats that would go for RFK. So I think it's a matter of if he can get on the ballot, and that comes down to signatures and financing. So he has to raise like $100 million, I believe, and he has to get a certain amount of signatures, which it's much harder when you're outside the party. And, you know, I'll talk about this later, and I talk about it all the time, but it's a much harder route for you if you're outside the DNC or the RNC, because they have like a machine set up that helps push you through. But if you're outside, like you're running as an independent, you have to kind of do all that yourself. And he has the resources to a degree to do it, and the name recognition. So that's really what it comes down to, is being able to rally support around you.
So he needs, what'd you say, about $100 million? He could just ask Steve Schmidt and the Lincoln Project, be like, hey, can I borrow some $100 million? Because they'll give it to him.
Yeah. And I think he could with his connections. I would say two things on him. One, when he's running as an independent, and when people are like, oh, it's going to hurt one part or the other, I really don't see a problem with that. I actually think it's a good thing, because there should be a mix. And I actually think he's the right guy to do it, because he's very controversial. So I would love to see him run either way, because he's going to go after the vaccines, because he has a lot of issues when it comes to the government and his uncle and his, like what you were talking about. Yeah. So I think he'll be that bowl in a china shop, whatever it says. I
love those things, because I don't know anyone.
Yeah, and he'll give good conversations to actually debate. So I would actually love to see it. I don't think it would do anything as far as, like, I don't think he'd actually be president, especially if you're to run it as a third party. But I think the conversations that he would spark are necessary.
I think so too. What do you think, Robbie?
I don't think people are in love with politics right now because of the two people who are the front runners, and those two people are Trump and Biden, and they're burnout. And I think that RFK offers a new opportunity. It's almost new hope. Like, I remember feeling, because I was a dumb liberal college kid, when Barack Obama was running for president. And the message that got everybody on board was hope, a better future.
Change.
But I actually look at this guy and I go, he can offer us change. Because it is breaking out of these two molds that they won't let him. The Democrats will not allow him to get. It's not. They're not even having debates. So it's Biden is their guy.
They
unless
won't even
there's some type of unfortunate accident. This guy is going to be their candidate for 2024.
I don't think he will be.
I don't know how you put him on a stage because the guy can't get through a sentence. And I'll go back to this time and time again. But I watched Trump at the Turning Point USA event in Palm Beach. You were there. You were there. The guy went on for an hour and 47 minutes, stood like I'm not confident Biden can stand for 47 seconds.
No.
This guy stood for an hour and 47 minutes and delivered a speech. And a lot of it was, oh, woe is me. Like, there was that, you know, I am the victim here. These people have done.
Also entertaining. Like, he captivates an audience for an hour and 45
and when
minutes.
he says the names, like Meatball Ron, the place erupts. And
he's a stand-up comedian.
He said Ron DeSantis, and this isn't Ron DeSantis' home state. It's Palm Beach. I can't think of a more red county than the center of the state. And they're going, boo! Like, they hate, like, it was like he got up there and he goes, how about that Osama bin Laden? Like, that was the level of hate at that event. So I think people are burned out on both sides. Democrats don't, I think the majority of Democrats, if they had to say it wouldn't be Biden, that's their first choice. And I think if the majority of Republicans also had to say, an actual say, it wouldn't be Trump that's their first either.
And a scary thing for him, it's like, bro, look what they've already done to his family with his father and his uncle. In LA a couple weeks ago at a Hispanic heritage thing, some guy dressed as a U.S. Marshal tried to step up to him, and guess what? They grabbed him, and guess what? What was he doing there? And I have people in LA, they're like, oh, you think he was going to try to assassinate him? Why is he trying to get close to that guy in California, a couple miles away from where his father was shot and killed?
And they won't provide him Secret Service.
Which is,
like,
he's written letters. He's written letters to the Biden administration. He's like, I'm the only presidential candidate that doesn't have secret. That's almost saying like this, hey, we can give two shits if they kill you. So he's
that's why I think he's going to run third party because him running as a third party is almost him kind of flipping off the Democratic Party and saying, hey, I'm going to do this because I think Trump can't get to 50%, right? He can't get to 50%. There's too many people that hate him, but can he pull Biden under 48%? Because Real Clear Politics has Trump at 45%, and the real question is, can RFK potentially pull Biden's below 48%?
What do you think, Brandon? Yes or no?
So actually, a poll came out this year that said 60% of America identifies as politically independent. And that's up from 25% 20 years ago. So it literally flipped. It used to be 35 for Democrat and Republican. Now those went down to 25 each.
Jeez.
And independent went up to like 60%. So there's a ton of people that are just totally done with both sides.
They're so done.
Well, and you get put in a bind too, because like I don't identify myself politically as a Republican or Democrat. Like I would consider myself a constitutional conservative. Like I'm not either side, but I try to lean towards that most support my beliefs.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people in that same position where you only have two parties. You're kind of, all right, lesser of two evils, or I guess I'll have to vote for this person because of this. Like, it puts people in a weird spot.
I also think people are getting disenfranchised with the system as a whole. When Tucker came back to Twitter, he made a really great point. He goes, drive around the cities of this country, go for a road trip and see the cities and see that the infrastructure is collapsing. See that the people that are driving their cars, they're not smiling, they're not happy. These people are struggling. And that's the majority of Americans. Now, the majority of Americans have had both. You had Trump in 2016. So you've recently, in the past 8 years, you've had both a Republican regime in office and a Democrat machine in office or candidate. And guess what? Your lives haven't gotten any better. The majority of Americans are still struggling, and the people who could use the money to do better, we send billions of dollars to Ukraine instead. So I think most people are disenfranchised with the system. They see him and they go, hey, that could get us out of this.
Yeah, and if I may quickly, when it comes to RFK, I have a family member, and I think what he talks a lot about is like COVID and the vaccines, and they were all gun-ho on that, thought I was crazy because I was like, yeah, this is super sketchy, I'm not doing this. But now one of them actually listened to the Joe Rogan podcast with RFK and posted like the system's effed, for lack of a better word. But that was so huge that someone that I know personally was gun-ho on the vaccines, gun-ho on all these things, listened to that and was like, yeah, the system is not right. So my question is, if he's going to take away from the Democrat, I actually think they do, because there are people that are reasonable, that saw everything that went on, that agreed with COVID, all of that. But now we see what's going on. Like not everyone did die. Why did you shut down the business? Now we're seeing the ramifications of that. I think there's a good portion that aren't just going to go right back into that. And that's like a big thing that he talks about. So I think he will pull those people, those moderate people that want things to go back to normal.
But which one? But my question is, so you have Biden and you have Trump. Who do you think is going to benefit the most of that, like that vote takeaway, Brandon? Like, is there going to be more of the Trump? Because let's not be stupid. Trump is the lead. Trump could run from prison, which it might wind up doing it. Trump, or who's going to hurt more, Biden? Because you said it was more of the incumbent that gets injured.
Typically,
but
when there's a legit third party.
From the stat that I heard, the poll that I read was he got more support from Republicans because he's so anti-vax. Democrats are waiting in line still right now for another vaccine shot.
But how many of them?
A lot. Oh, what do you mean? I know people that are proud taking photos right now.
Seriously?
I lived in Los Angeles for 16 years. They want more Jews.
They can't be saved.
They
can't be booster.
And these are the people, and that's the problem. But dude, here's the thing. And the left is brilliant. Say what you want. Brilliant at making everybody get fatigued on the Trump. But nobody forget. None of you forget. They cheated. He was pissed. He wants redemption. If you saw his face in the courtroom in New York, the camera goes to him. The judge is laughing and having a good time. Donald Trump is like this, bro. The man is on a mission, and when the court doors flew open, he was like, this is a sham. Everybody kiss my ass. The judge looks weird. But it's like, and guys, I get it. I'm fatigued. I'm tired as well. But what's fair is fair, and say what you want. Say what you want, and I'm going to make just a quick point about the political, the voting, all that process. They cheated once. It should scare everybody, because Trump, at some point, guys, maybe this one, if he wins 4 years, is going bye-bye. What the left is doing with the system and the mail-in voting and by the way, the timing of COVID coming out of China and all these things that compiled up. By the way, mail-in absentee ballots used to be 30% to 70%. It flipped. It's 70% now that are absentee, and they made it 9 states where you could, everybody's mandatory to do it. So it should scare everybody that, like Trump, okay, whatever. Think about the future of everything being set up to where whoever that they want in is going to win, and it's going to keep on going. So
I would like to see a comeback story of Trump, and I would also like to see Trump as president without the fear of having to run for a second term.
Oh, that would be great.
You asked Brandon a question. I'd love to hear his input.
Because we have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah. What do you think which party do you think RFK takes more votes from? The Democrats or the Republicans?
Yeah, so it kind of comes down to, when looking at the Ross Perot situation, which one is the person more similar to? So, Perot's more similar to George Bush Sr., but like a less conservative version of him. So the question is, who's RFK more similar to between Trump and Biden? And I'd say he's probably more similar to Trump, but there's such a dissatisfaction rate with Biden. Even most Democrats hate Biden. I don't think any Democrat probably likes Biden. So I literally, maybe this is a weak answer, but I literally could see him taking from both of them and making this like a 30%.
So do you think it matters what he,
flip,
what do you think that does it matter what he campaigns on? If he leans in on the environmental stuff, then he loses the right. But if he leans in on the vaccine stuff, he loses the left. So what's that balance?
I think the balance is to be pro-choice for abortion. If Trump's going to be, more pro-life in abortion, because that's just not a popular topic. That's something that puts a lot of Democrats away. But also being, pro-freedom in the sense of cutting taxes, not being hard on COVID and stuff like that. Getting the economy going again, decreased regulation, drill for oil, pipeline,
borders.
Borders.
Okay. And guess what? I will say this. If
You're hired.
If you mentioned, when did you say, Joel, what day? he
The
can
9th,
announce?
October
On the
9th.
9th, he better, because he's not getting any Secret Service, he better beef up his security, bro. Because
Yeah.
if he's going to be taking votes away from the left, they're going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
now you're not even on our side anymore. Good luck, buddy.
Hey, Hillary.
welcome
Hey,
to-
Hey,
Can you do me a favor?
we got something that needs to
I
be
got
done
3
here.
letters. RFK, which is not funny, but it is
It's a
funny.
difficult road, but it just comes down to media and money. Like, how much money can you get and how much media attention you get, you know? And so if he captivates enough people to get a lot of money, that's one. Then if he can go on a ton of podcasts, then that's 2 with media. So it's possible.